Hello, my name is Gordon Knight, and in this short video, what I would like to do is begin an introduction to one of the most influential and important philosophical works of the last 100 years, and that is Martin Heidegger's Being and Time, in German, Sein und Zeit. And my first goal, before getting into anything that Heidegger specifically says, is to persuade you that you should read this book, that it is an interesting book and an important book, and that you should not fear it, should not dismiss it, and that in the end, it really is worth going through the effort, reading through Heidegger's texts. Why is that? Why do I say that? Well, there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of philosophical books, many of which are interesting in one way or another. But what is distinctive about Being in Time is that it is one of the few philosophical works that systematically investigate the character of human life as it is concretely lived by you or me. One other text that does the same thing is Jean-Paul Sartre's Being and Nothingness. And by the way, if you know anything about the relationship between Sartre and Heidegger, you probably know that Heidegger was quite dismissive of Sartre, dismissive of the collection of views called existentialist, and that he really tried to distinguish Heideggerian philosophy from Sartrean philosophy. And you're right, Heidegger did do all that. But what you might not know, and what I did not know until I read this book, Martin Heidegger, Between Good and Evil, biography, is that when Heidegger first read Being and Nothingness, he loved it. So let me just give you a quote. If I can find it. This is a quote from a letter Heidegger wrote to Sartre after first reading Being and Nothingness. Here, for the first time, I encountered an independent thinker who, from the foundations up, has experienced the area out of which I think. Your work shows such an immediate comprehension of my philosophy as I have never before encountered. So that's just a little tidbit of gossip, I guess. Interesting question is, why did Heidegger change his attitude? There are scholars who probably have well-defended and well-developed answers to that question. Personally, I think it's because Heidegger really was quite dismissive of the sort of left-wing existentialist culture, French people wearing berets, talking about Marx, and that sort of cultural phenomena may have been what led Heidegger to change his view of Sartre. Could be wrong about that, but whatever. Philosophers, and I hope many of you are philosophers or students of philosophy who live and work in the analytic tradition, as it's called. Many analytic philosophers really, really, really have a kind of visceral aversion to Heidegger long before they ever read him. And there's reasons for this. One reason is the word being. To many people, when you start hearing a philosopher talk about being, he conjures up the image of Neoplatonic theses in which there is some kind of super entity, maybe God, maybe it's an impersonal form of the good, whatever, from which everything else, all other entities, lesser entities, emanate. One of the first things Heidegger says is, in his text, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not telling a story about being. I'm not trying to give a causal account of why some things exist and some things don't exist. The word being is just a translation of the German word sein. And the German word sein means to be. It's the infinitive of other familiar words like I, is, am, are. There's nothing mysterious about it. Or I should say, there might be something mysterious about it, but there's no intention on the part of Heidegger to invoke a mysterious otherworldly entity. It is, in fact, the being, the existence of worldly entities that he is concerned with, philosophically investigating, and most particularly, that worldly entity which is you or me. Here's another stumbling block. Heidegger's language. Heidegger just loves to make up words. Heidegger eschews the philosophical vocabulary that most of us are familiar with if we're philosophers or philosophy students over the last, 2,000 years. So, for example, while I said Heidegger is giving a philosophical account of human life as it's concretely lived, Heidegger doesn't use the word human being typically to refer to you or me. He doesn't use the word soul. He doesn't use the word consciousness. He doesn't use, something else, the word mind. And the reason he doesn't, and instead says Dasein, and uses the word Dasein to refer to you or me, is that Heidegger believes that all of these philosophical terms, which have been used and reused throughout the history of Western philosophy, have ontological baggage. They presuppose what ought to be questioned. Those of you familiar with the analytic philosophy of mind might consider this analogy. Think of the word qualia. So there's a huge debate in the philosophy of mind according to which is the mind totally physical, or is there some aspect of it that's not? And then there are people that come out and say, but look, qualia, meaning by that the qualitative character of lived experience, can't be taken to be anything physical. So it's argued, right? But the word qualia, when it's used in this way, begs oodles of questions. Because qualia is used to refer to a mental state. That is to say, a state of the human mind. So when people talk about red qualia, they mean some kind of red sensation thingy that is in some way a part of our consciousness. But to do that is to beg the question against what to me is a much more natural view, which is that when I look at a red rose, There is indeed the qualitative character of redness there, but that qualitative character is in the rose, not in me. And even if I'm wrong about that, it's a mistake to use terminology that presupposes that I'm wrong about that. That's all I have for right now. I don't want to make a very long video. I'll make another one which will kind of continue this introduction. Please, if you like what I'm talking about, express yourself typographically with the like button. And if you have any comments or questions, please express yourself typographically in the comments section. See you later. Bye.